have in an average 28 workers. That means each of the units are employing average 28 people. So 28 families are involved with it. And average number of employees and workers per cluster is 10,000 plus. 10,000 plus. Therefore, from employment perspective, from annual turnover perspective, from production perspective, SME clusters, 177 SME clusters are playing very important role in Bangladesh economy. In terms, it could be more than 50% of our GDP. Why clustering needed? Because we can establish factories or companies in our own premises. Why we will go for a particular location? It is because in scattered location, it is difficult to supply industrial utility, electricity, gas connectivity, water connectivity, roads connectivity, and security. But it is very easy to maintain all these necessity in a particular location. For the government perspective, collecting revenue from a particular location is much more easier than collecting revenue from a scattered place of 3 or 5 kilometers or more than that. Therefore, I would like to humbly request the government of Bangladesh. They have a vision to establish 100 special economic zone. This 100 special economic zone has to be established newly. Land has to be allocated, land has to be acquired, infrastructure has to be developed, factories has to be established. But in the identified 177 SME cluster, everything is there. They grown naturally. Now, what is needed? They need some support. For example, expansion facilities with the land acquisition and electricity connection, water connection, gas connectivity, roads and bridges, security, banking connectivity requires in this 177 cluster. So the effort, the resource required to establish new 177 special economic zone is much more higher than the development requirement of these identified 177 clusters. Therefore, we think this clustering concept could be a game changer for Bangladesh economy. Where the SME clusters are located. SME clusters in Bangladesh. There are, 177 clusters located in 51 districts. There are 64 districts in Bangladesh. So 51 district has SME clusters. For balanced development, cluster development could play a vital role. Only 13 districts don't have any clusters. These districts are Netrokona, Rajbari, Norail, Meherpur, Lalmonighat, Sonamganj, Borguna, Bhola, Potuakhali, Noakhali, Bandarban, Rangamati, Khagrachari. These 13 districts don't have any cluster, but there may be potential clusters which could be flourished with a little nursing. Therefore, the government should look into the SME clusters with a special eye. So, what types of clusters we have identified? There are 38 handicrafts and miscellaneous industry clusters in Bangladesh. Besides this, we have 34 agro-processing and agribusiness cluster, 31 light engineering cluster, 22 knitwear and ready-made garments cluster, 16 fashion-rich effects cluster, 13 leather goods clusters, 10 handloom and specialized textile cluster, 5 healthcare and diagnostic clusters, 3 plastics and other synthetics clusters, 3 electronic and electrical products cluster, 2 educational services cluster, mainly in Dhaka. So if we would like to see the location-wise distribution of SME clusters, then we will find Dhaka is leading. 38% of the clusters are located in Dhaka, and second position is Rajshahi. 18% clusters are there. Chittagong have 15% cluster, Khulna 12, Rangpur 7, Barishal 6, and Sylhet division have only 4% cluster. from this particular graph, we can easily say that the people who reside in Dhaka are more enterprisers than the Siletis. Location-wise distribution of clusters. If we would like to look at the clusters from a locationer's perspective, then we will find maximum cluster is in Dhaka division, 68. 68 clusters are located in Dhaka division. The people of Dhaka division are more enterpriser, more entrepreneurial quality they have. They established 68 clusters naturally grown in the Dhaka division, followed by the Chittagong division have 25 clusters, then Khulna division have 21 clusters, and Sylhet division have 9 clusters. Total 32 clusters are there in Rajshahi division, and there are 10 clusters in Borishal division, 12 clusters in Rangpur division. So divisional aspect, Rangpur is lag behind because we know Rangpur, it is far located. They are not connected with seaports and others. Therefore, transportation cost is higher in that particular location. So maybe therefore no export-oriented cluster grown in Rangpur division, but we have opportunities of establishing inbound, I mean domestic market-oriented clusters in that particular location as well. Now come to the point, the product-wise distribution of SME clusters. Among the identified 177 SME clusters, we identified the maximum number, 34, agro-processing, agribusiness, plantation agriculture, specialized farming, tissue culture, these types of clusters in 20 districts. That means agro-processing clusters is the highest number, and they are located in 20 different districts, followed by light engineering cluster. There are 31 light engineering clusters in Bangladesh located in 18 districts, and there are 22 knitwear and ready-made garments clusters. They are mainly Dhaka, Narayanganj, Gazipur, and Chittagong. So these are, besides this, we have some knitwear and ready-made garments clusters in other districts as well. So there are 22 knitwear and ready-made garments clusters in Bangladesh located in 14 different districts. Followed by 16 clusters, we have fashion designing, fashion risk, aesthetically challenging, and personal wear and effects clusters. These are mainly wearing, mainly garments for domestic market, produced for domestic market. So there are 16 clusters of designing, fashion designing, and they are located in 10 districts. And we have 13 clusters producing leather goods and leather other products located in 7 districts. We have 5 clusters of healthcare and diagnostics in 5 districts, mainly Dhaka, Chittagong, and other major divisional cities. We have 3 clusters producing plastic goods mainly in Dhaka. Plastic products producing clusters are located mainly in Dhaka. We have 3 clusters of electronics and electrical products, mainly in Dhaka, Shampur, Kodamtoli, these areas, Atrabari and other areas. We have 2 clusters of educational services. One is in Dhaka, one is in Tangai. Though we know the Rajshahi as education city, but from the number of institutions, Dhaka and Tangai is ahead of Rajshahi. Now come to the point, what types of enterprises are there in SME clusters? If we can categorize SME enterprises located inside the clusters, we'll find 80% of them are micro enterprises. 15% are small and only 5% are medium. That means the clusters are mainly created by the micro entrepreneurs. A little bit of them graduated into small, and only 5% graduated into medium range. So mortality rate of enterprises in clusters also high, like other places of the country. Therefore, government should concentrate to the SME clusters to provide incubation support, common facility center, and other financial services, so that we can retain more number of enterprises inside the clusters. So what are the product producing in SME clusters in Bangladesh? We can classify the products producing in SME clusters into 11 different sectors. As this study was conducted based on SME booster sectors, so we at first the maximum number of clusters has been identified in agro-processing sector. These enterprises are mainly producing rice, broken rice, husk, buried husk, oil, rice bran oil, oil cake, these types of products. These are mainly primary agricultural products, just processing the agri crops into usable level. In the light engineering cluster, we again see we are producing windows, grills, doors, door frame, window frame, collapsible gates, iron steel. These are very primary level of products, mainly used in household and factory premises. So we have enough scope to add more value in light engineering products clusters in Bangladesh. Knitwear, as you know, ready-made garments and knitwear is the highest revenue, highest export earning sector of Bangladesh. Therefore, this sector is producing world-class products here in Bangladesh. They are mainly producing pants, jacket, ladies, and three pieces, towels, shirts, tabs, limers, frocks, baby sets, suits, clothes, and many more. Ready-made garments is the highest export earning sector of the country. And now we have the world largest or world greenest factory, world most compliant factories in Bangladesh. And now we are standing at the second position besides China. Bangladesh is the second highest ready-made garments exporting country of the world. So these clusters are mainly producing value-added products. For fashion rich wear, effects and consumption goods, in these are also fashionable item or ready-made wear, but these are manufactured for the local garments, and these are mainly major products